and they want to submit this as proof that the Paxtons were looking for the cabinets and the countertops that would go into their home, and that they were not having them replaced with granite countertops courtesy of Nate Paul as House managers in the impeachment process strongly suggests. In fact, in opening statements, Tony Busby said, look, we're going to show you the receipts. We're going to show you the money that's transferred from the Paxton's account to pay for this. Okay, coming back for the afternoon session now. There you see Lana Myers and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick returning to the chamber for the last 2 weeks, a political courtroom.
Would the parties come forward?
This theater of the impeachment of Ken Paxton. And they're going to start the same way they ended, with a little sidebar conversation. The judge has now made a decision about what would or would not be allowed in terms of the evidence from these images of countertops and kitchen cabinets from Angela Paxton's phone.
Members of the jury, we have some resolution between the parties on the issue when we left that they're going to work on and bring that issue back up tomorrow. So I think both parties have come to an agreement. Recall the witness.
Andrew Drew Wicker will come back to the stand. He's still under cross-exam, and for sure the testimony will continue at least through part of the day tomorrow. Or at least that's what it sounds like from the Lieutenant Governor. A lot could change between now and then.
You're still under oath. Please be seated. You did an excellent job of speaking loudly in the mic, so continue. Mr. Busby?
Yes, sir. I want to make sure we're all on the same page about what we're attempting to do here. Eric, would you mind putting in front of our senators Article 10, please? Drew, help me here a little bit. Article 10 alleges constitutional bribery. Do you see that?
Yes, sir, I do.
It says in the second paragraph, specifically, Paxton benefited from Nate Paul providing renovations to Paxton's home. Did I read that right?
Yes, sir, you did.
You understand that's the allegation being made, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you had told us about a conversation you heard at the Paxton's Terrytown home, right?
Yes, sir.
It was you, it was General Paxton, and it was a gentleman named Kevin Wood in the kitchen, correct?
That is correct.
Now, of course, you've told us all that you never saw Nate Paul at General Paxton's home, true?
That is correct.
And you knew that the Paxton's home had water damage, right?
Correct.
And you knew Kevin Wood was the contractor, right?
That is correct.
And you knew that the Paxtons had decided to do some additional renovations at the same time they were fixing the water damage, right?
Yes, sir.
And you say you were in the kitchen with General Paxton and Kevin Wood, and they were talking about redoing the countertops, right?
That is correct.
And the mention was that Angela wanted granite countertops, right?
That General Paxton and her had both decided they would like granite countertops, correct?
And you said that at some point the cost of that was mentioned to be $20,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you can't tell us here whether the Paxtons actually got these $20,000 countertops, can you?
No, sir.
Now, one way we could figure that out is for all of us to go to the Paxtons' home right now, couldn't we?
Yes, sir.
I mean, Your Honor, we could right now, if the court would allow it, get on a bus and drive over to Terrytown and look at the Paxton's countertops. Could we do that, Your Honor?
Objection relevance, Your Honor. He can bring in photographs if he chooses to that were taken at a current time period.
I'm going to overrule. You simply ask a question of something I could do.
Yes, sir. And we may make a motion in that regard, but maybe we can fix it in this way, Your Honor. We had previously looked at an exhibit put into evidence by the House Board of Managers. Let's look at House Board of Managers 703. And Eric, if you would, turn to the 4th page of this exhibit that's in evidence. And we can see here, can we not, that Kevin Wood has a email that's sent on July 4th, 2020. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
And he attaches some pictures of the home at that point in time, right?
I can't see that, but I do see that there are attachments.
Okay, now let's turn over, Eric, if we could, to the page bait stamped 29672 within that exhibit. And pull that up so everybody can see. And try to bring that picture up so we all can see it, Eric. All right, now we can see what that kitchen looked like as of July of 2020, can't we?
Yes, sir.
I want you to look very carefully at it. Can you see the stove?
Yes, sir.
Can you see the countertops?
It's a little bit grainy, but yes.
And that's how the house looked when you were in that kitchen with General Paxton and with Kevin Wood, isn't that right?
It was mostly covered up by renovations, but yes.
Now, so this is, we'll call this the before, okay?
Yes, sir.
This was the before, the suggestion that we're going to make those countertops granite, right?
Yes.
And we're going to redo the cabinetry, right? That's another thing you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
All right, now let's go back, if we could, to the picture that's in evidence and marked as AG 371. And bring that up. Eric has the most stressful job in this trial. No pressure, Eric. Okay. Here we have a picture of that same kitchen. Is that true?
It would appear so, yes.
And you see the same countertops that you saw in the previous picture, don't you?
It would appear so, yes.
And you see the same cabinets as in the previous picture, right?
Again, it would appear so.
So the question is,
I'm going to object, Your Honor, to relevance. I don't believe this is in the packet that we're referencing. Mr. Busby could cite me if I'm incorrect.
I've already said this is in evidence at AG 371.
Overruled.
The question is, when was AG 371 taken, right?
Yes, sir.
Because if this picture was taken on August 22nd of 2023, then anybody with any common sense would know that nothing was done to the cabinets or the countertops, right?
That would be correct.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Before we testify about it, just confirm with me that what you've been handed, which is now...
Objection, Your Honor, to publishing a document that's not in evidence that he has not attributed for the record.
I have not published anything at this point, Your Honor.
The picture is on the screen, Mr.
That's the
Busby.
picture AG 371. This is something different.
Overruled.
Now, take a look at what I've handed you, AG 1051, and would you confirm with me that the picture you're holding in your hands is the same picture that we see on the screen, which is AG 371?
It appears so, yes.
And do you see the exhibit you're holding in your hand has, in fact, the date and where the picture was taken?
It does.
Your Honor, we offer AG 151.
Have you shown it to the defense?
May I see a copy and the date that was referenced?
It's coming to both of us. We'd like to have one. Okay.
Give a
We'll
copy
give it
to
them
the other
first.
side,
Give it to them
please.
first. And you can give us a copy. Sir, you can give us a copy. Oh, that's the only one you have?
You have another copy?
Mr. President, I don't want to stave off his direct, but cross, but I think that I can clear something up if I could take Mr. Wicker on a brief for Dyer. I think he's been misled as to the date and time of the photograph he had originally identified.
Again, Your Honor, I'm asking this witness if he has now the date the picture was taken on a cell phone, the exact same picture that's already in evidence. It's not very hard. We're going to get to the truth here.
Overruled.
Tell us, sir, the date of the picture you have in your hand.
It states that it was Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023 at 4:50 p.m.
And where was the picture taken?
It says Austin, Terrytown.
Your Honor, we offer AG 1051.
Do you object?
I do, Your Honor. Objection hearsay. He hasn't established a proper predicate to make it relevant to this trial. It doesn't have an address, and Mr. Wicker cannot say that he fairly and accurately depicts something that he's actually seen.
Overruled.
Now, Eric, please publish for the ladies and gentlemen of this distinguished jury the picture of the Terrytown Paxton home that was taken in August of this year. Do you see there, sir, that the cabinets have never changed?
It would appear so, yes.
Do you see there, sir, that the countertops have never changed?
Mr. President, I'm sorry. I must insist. He's provided metadata, but without any source for it. I am not trying to impugn his character, but this is a court of law, and he has to establish the predicate for the information that's contained below. He has not done that, and he intends to rely upon it. It is hearsay.
It's in evidence already, Your Honor. You've ruled on it. It's in evidence.
Your Honor, with all respect to Mr. Busby, he's misleading you. The photograph is in evidence. The information contained beneath it is not. That's what he's asking you to do now.
Again, we can look back with the court reporter. I offered 1051. The court allowed it.
In that case, Mr. President, it is fully within your discretion to correct an error. I am not conceding that it is admitted, but if it were, in light of the fact that he cannot establish that anything beneath that photograph is true and he intends to dance upon it, I would ask that the court help correct that issue.
That picture, Your Honor, as you can tell, is the same picture that's in evidence. The only addition to it is now we know exactly when the picture was taken and where it was taken.
Which establishes the exact issue, Your Honor. There is no one here who can establish whether or not this picture was in fact taken August 22nd, 2023, and any 12-year-old can create that graphic on a computer.
Your Honor, this lawyer is suggesting that me, an officer of this court, has somehow doctored a picture when I've offered to go over to the home right now and look at the kitchen and it'll look exactly like that. Why would somebody who has an obligation as a prosecutor to find the truth try to prevent the truth from coming out? This is in evidence. The picture's in evidence already. The court's allowed now the picture in evidence that shows when it was taken. I would allow.
I am not trying to impugn anyone's character. I am acting as a prosecutor and a rule follower, and I expect to do that here so no misimpressions are left with the court.
This is allowed in evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Now, you care about the truth, don't you, Drew?
Yes, sir.
You want the truth to come out, don't you?
I believe it has to.
Yes, it's important, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And now we see that the picture of the Paxton home, we can see that there were no work done on the countertops, can't we?
Yes, we can.
We can see that there was no work done in the cabinetry, can't we?
Yes, sir.
Pretty clear, isn't it?
From those images, yes.
Accusing someone of bribery for accepting granite countertops and new cabinetry is a very serious allegation, isn't it?
I would agree.
And you understand that Mr. Paxton, General Paxton, has no obligation to prove anything, right? He's being accused.
Yes, sir.
He didn't have to prove anything, does he?
Yes, sir.
But we've proven that the countertops were not altered in any way, haven't we?
The countertops appear to have not been altered.
The cabinets have not been altered in any way, have they?
It would appear that way, yes, sir.
And in fact, we've created a comparison picture. It's exhibit 1052, AG 1052. May I approach? Can we agree, Drew, that 1052 that you're holding in your hands is a picture, the one on the left is the one we just looked at, right?
Yes, sir.
And the one on the right is the one we looked at from Kevin Wood, right?
That is correct.
And they're side by side on this exhibit, true?
That is correct.
And we know the one on the right was taken in July of 2020, right?
Yes, sir.
And we know the one on the left was taken years later, August 2023, don't we?
Yes, sir.
We offer 1052.
Do you have a copy of that? Would you please provide a copy?
To clarify, I see AG 371 and I see House Board of Managers 73 on 1052. Which one of these two photos is supposed to be 1051?
I'm not answering her questions, Your Honor. I've offered this exhibit.
Then I object to relevance.
This is a comparison as I've laid out with the witness. He's established the relevance of this picture. It compares the one taken years back in 2020 with the one taken last month. We'd offer it.
Overruled.
Will it be accepted, Your Honor?
What is the number again?
1052.
1052 is admitted into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. So can we agree, Drew, that your concerns now have been put to bed, at least with regard to the countertops and the cabinetry?
With regards to those two items, yes, sir.
I mean, now you're satisfied, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I want to show you some other documents and evidence. I mean, it shouldn't be that a friend, a family member has to prove their innocence, should it?
In a court of law, my understanding is that they're supposed to provide evidence to answer the charges. The answer to your question is no, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. AG Exhibit 332. Thank you, Eric. This is an invoice. Can you tell us all the date of the invoice?
The date of the invoice is September 1st, 2020.
And the invoice is from whom?
Cupertino Builders.
And I just want you to keep that date in your mind, September 1, 2020. Can you do that for me, Drew?
Yes, sir.
All right, Eric, go to AG Exhibit 410. Can you see the date there on this USAA claims correspondence?
September 16th of 2020.
So here we are 15 days after that invoice that we saw previously.
Yes, sir.
And turn the page, Eric. And we can see as of that time, the claim being made with regard or with USAA is being administered.
Yes.
Okay. AG 428. Drew, this is a document that's in evidence from the state of Delaware. Do you see that?
I do.
And do you see it's a document related to Cupertino Builders?
I do.
And can we agree that that's the same entity that we saw in the September 1, 2020 invoice?
Yes, sir.
And would you look at the very bottom line that gives us the date that that company was incorporated in the state of Delaware?
It appears that the filing was April 16th of 2020.
So what we know is in April of 2020, Cupertino Builders was incorporated in the state of Delaware.
Yes, sir.
And we know that months later, it issued an invoice to the Paxtons for work on their home.
That's correct.
Go back to the invoice, please, Eric. Go back to AG 332, Eric. I just want to look at this invoice that was issued September 1, 2020, okay? Turn to the second page, Eric. Do you see the total amount invoiced to the Paxtons for the renovations of their home?
$121,000, $817.
You have a pen with you?
No, sir, I do not.
Drew, would you do me the favor of writing down the amount of that invoice on your Post-it note there? $121,617.
Yes, sir.
And we know, of course, that Cupertino Builders was a Delaware corporation as of the time this invoice was issued.
That is what it says.
Let's look now at AG Exhibit 48. And turn, Eric, if you would, to the Bates stamp EBT 184. These are some text messages between General Paxton and a guy we may hear from in this case named Chip Loper, all right? And could you pull that text up, Eric? We saw that invoice was due on September 30th, 2020, right?
That is correct.
And now we have a text from General Paxton to his blind trust, or his trustee of his trust, instructing him to make a payment, don't we?
That is what the text message says, yes.
And confirm with me, if you would, that the amount that Chip Loper, the trustee, is being instructed to pay is exactly the amount that's on your Post-it note that you just wrote.
I can confirm.
Say it again.
I confirm that.
Exact, right?
Yes, sir.
Eric, bring up AG Exhibit 47. So what we've seen